Hey everybody, it's me, Undead Viking. I'm going to talk to you about this game here. It is called Directive Invasion. This is a brand new game that's in Kickstarter right now that is a fun little spin on what a lot of games out there have been. There are several games out there about aliens attacking humans, if you will, and you as the humans are fighting against the horrible oppressors that are the aliens, the alien races. But what's neat about this game is that you actually are the alien race, and you have stumbled upon Earth, and you see that it is full of lots of humans that you can biomorph and change into your own race, and you see that it is full of tons of raw materials and resources that you can plunder, and you've decided to take it over. The problem is that as serendipitous as your luck has been to find Earth, there are other races as well that are just as lucky and have located the same area at the exact same time, namely the other players. The game is for 2 to 6 people. It will take you about an hour, a little over an hour to play, and it is a heck of a lot of fun because it isn't. I mean, the humans have a little bit of a resistance, but it doesn't really. They don't really do much, if you will. I mean, they're just kind of there to be kind of slapped around, if you will. But it's the other players and that you're going to be warring against, and like you're trying to basically get the largest piece of the human pie, if you will, so you can be the best of the invaders of the world. So let me show you how to play Directive Invasion, like I always do, and then we'll come on back and we'll talk more about it at that point. Alright, this is Directive Invasion, and this is a 3-player game that I have set up. The game does satisfy up to 6 people, and as little as 2. The game is slightly different with 2, because you can't get points for actually killing off other players' troops and outposts, but that's the only real difference between the game. As I explained in the introduction, this is a game of each alien race trying to subjugate the human race and do it as efficiently as possible. And the game can last up to 12 turns. You'll see this is like kind of the turn board over here. And you'll see that there's these spots that these resistance cards go. And that's kind of like how the game registers the length of the game. However, you can speed the game up as the players by turning these cards over quicker. And that's like one of the powers that you have, or one of the actions that you can do. And that's something that, because you don't really earn victory points other than when you actually kill another player's outpost or troop, and then you gain one of these crystals over here, which is worth victory points at the end of the game. You don't gain victory points or anything until the very last turn of the game. And then at that point, like, you figure out who's like destroyed the most, or who's occupied the most, or who has the most troops, and all these other different things. And I'll go over that when we get to that point of the gameplay portion of the game. So to begin the game, what you will do is you will get color with, it has a bunch of different things. You have these little pawns here that represent troops. You have these little octagons here that represent your outposts, and you have these discs that will represent the different levels of power that you have in your mothership. That will actually be technically, it's kind of like just an action placement type thing, but that's the power that your ship has in it, and it allows you to do things. And so each player will receive one of these game boards, and so here's like the name, it's the bugs. Here's an ability they have, fueled by death. You may build troops out of any of your destroyed hexes. So when you destroy a hex, what you do is you go ahead and like you place one of these tokens on there that show it's destroyed. If that's like for a city, for another spot, like if you wanted to, like, say destroy like a forest or something, you'd use one of these. And then, like, normally you can only build troops either in your landing spot, which are like on this tile or that tile and that tile, Or if you set up an outpost, you can build troops if the outpost is on a city tile, because you don't actually like send troops out. What you do is you kind of like uplift or modify the humans that are there and turn them into kind of an alien human crossbreed, and then you create the troops that way. But like the bugs, like just as you can guess, this is something that breaks the rules. They're fueled by death. You may build troops out of any of your destroyed hexes, and you notice this one has a big power sign on it. If you control by having an outpost on one of these locations that has like the reactor on it, same symbol, you then have access to this ability. So when you destroy a city hex, you may immediately place a troop on it, and that's just one of those abilities. There's also, over here, you will see the different things you can do: ally or oppress, destroy, Xena Form, build assets, and move troops. And I'll go through all that in a little bit, especially also like the upgrades and things like that. I'll go through that as well. Down here, you can actually then see like what your abilities are. So like the troops for the bugs are great. They have a speed of 3 and they have attack of 3, but they don't defend well, and their outposts don't defend well either, and they can't move. Some of the races can actually move their outposts and things like that, which is kind of cool. So here I also have the Greys. Instead of moving all troops, you may move one troop any distance. So when you activate your move troops ability, you can teleport one of your Greys, or then if it's activated saucers, you may move troops. You may teleport one outpost any distance. And so then the Greys, you see, they're really good at defense, maybe not so good at speed and attack, and their outposts are good at defending as well. And the other one I had was the Reptiles. And troops gain a bonus die basically to attack and defend while in city hexes. And you notice how like the reptiles are trying to look like humans here. And infrastructure, city tiles cost half speed to enter, so that's kind of neat too. And so there you go. There's other ones too. There's the Hunters, which are kind of like this little feline race, the Martian Born, and the Horror from Beyond Space. That's kind of a neat one. It's kind of maybe Cthulhu-esque. If you troops gain a bonus throw to attack and defend against enemies without an adjacency bonus. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here, but basically if you have troops that are next to each other, because you can't like amass troops all in one spot, but if you have troops that are next to each other, they can assist in the attack and they give you bonus dice. The Greens, and they can actually move their outposts, see? And the Robots, which are really cool actually. I like it because transforms. Before you move troops, you may replace an outpost with a troop, and so you can kind of move your outposts around, make them troops, and they have really high speed. I like these ones. So but anyway, so then again, we went ahead and picked those, and I'm mostly going to be showing you the green guy, which is him down there, and the bugs, if you will. Alright, so you figure out whose turn it is by just, you have these dice. And yes, these are 8-sided dice, but you're going to look and you'll notice they're not your normal 8-sided dice. You have a 0 and a 0, a 1, 1, 2, 2. So you don't, this isn't a standard 8-sided die. But you're going to be using those for when you do the attacks and what have you. So you begin with the first player. You determine that rolling dice. Whoever rolls the highest, you then just take your actions. And I'm going to kind of go through all the different actions that you have access to. At the beginning of the game, you have 3 power units. So let's go ahead and place those 3 up there. And everybody has 3. You can gain more in the game when you get to this spot in the board. Technically, it's basically turn 7, though it could happen sooner, depending on if you've placed more of these cards on the track. So on your turn, what you're going to do is you're going to take one of your powers and you're just going to pick a spot and you're going to activate a power. You notice that like this one only has 1 because ally or oppress actually is the one that allows you to turn a card over early. And that's the oppress action. And so when you oppress, you're going to turn one of these resistance cards over and you're going to place it in that spot because you're basically terrorizing the human race. And so then they want to build up a resistance and want to attack you. And you might not think that'd be a good idea because the resistance cards are normally mostly bad for you. But there's other ways, to get around that. And because there can be good things in there, and I'll explain that in just a moment. But if you think you're in the lead, you might want to speed things up, and so you can oppress the human race to kind of speed the game towards an end. And I've won the game because I've done that, and actually worked pretty well. But you can also use the ally action, and when you use the ally action, you have these three cards, and these are the green powers that allow you, like, they have a resistance on the back, and green ally attack, green troops gain +1 attack, green ally power. At any time, green resets 1 power, so basically you get another action. And green ally speed, green troops gain 1 speed. So if you do the ally action, what you can do is you take one of these, and then you pick one. You don't just randomly pick it, and then you shuffle it into the deck, into the resistance deck. And so theoretically, then if this comes over, it goes onto that board, and then you get that automatic bonus. So allying with humans, you kind of like basically you're trying to like use seditionary actions and stuff like that to try to impress them that you're trying to be their buddy or whatever. And that's obviously like can be very helpful towards the beginning of the game. If you can get your card in there and you can get it to pop out, you get that cool bonus for the rest of the game, and that's something that a lot of people do on their very first turn, and will continue to do as well. If you do the destroy action, you're basically using these giant lasers on your mothership to blast something. You can destroy anything you want. I mean, you just go ahead and destroy it, and you use one of these tokens. And when you destroy them, there actually can be worth points. If you destroy cities or destroy monuments, it's actually worth points at the end of the game. And there might be other reasons for you to destroy other things as well, like the bugs. If you can, destroy a hex, you can, turn it into something. You a destroyed hex that you can then create things out of. But so, like, if you want to destroy a city, then you just place it over like so. And then at the end of the game, the color, because it isn't the same color. Like, here's a green destroyed hex, and I should actually be using the green one because I'm actually using the green bugs. You'd go like that, and so then you know that, okay, he destroyed a city that's worth 2 victory points. And so you can go ahead and know that. So that's just a very simple action to destroy. The one big thing is, unless you have something that supersedes it, if like yellow had a outpost on that city, and I wanted to destroy it, it wouldn't work because of the fact that, like, you, for whatever reason, you can't, unless you have a different power that supersedes it and breaks the rules, you can't destroy a spot that has either a troop or an outpost of another player on that spot. So, then we move on to Xena Form. Xena Form, when you take that action, what you're doing is you are making the part of the, like, you're taking, like, basically one of these little brown spots that is like the rolling hills, if you will, and you are turning it into one of these crystalline structures. And so you just kind of go, like that. And you might be saying, well, why would I even bother to do that? Well, one of the ways you can score a lot of points and score a lot of victory points at the end of the game is that if you can have a continued chain of, like, either blue or green hexes, like of one color that you control, because you have an outpost on them, those are worth victory points at the end. So, like, if you had, like, if blue had a an outpost on there and nobody else was around that, he would score a ton of victory points just for this one thing. Now, another player could place an outpost on there, and then, like, whatever chain you'd have would have to stop when you hit that particular other outpost, but you can then score a lot of victory points with that. And then to continue the chain, you can add that, to, like, this, and then it would add that extra, like, a little bridge, to the other spots. You can't xenoform anything but the brown locations, so just keep that in mind, and that's why you would use the xenoform building. Build assets. Build assets is just building an outpost. Pretty simple. You just build an outpost. And then move troops. Also very simple. You just, every troop that you have on board on the planet can move its speed. And then you can go ahead and obviously, like, mountains are tougher to move across because, well, they're mountains. And so you're allowed to move wherever you can't. You can go through your own troops, but you can't be on the same spot. And if you run into if you move on to a spot with another troop, then you have to fight it out at that time. Combat is very simple. If you have, a like just yellow and blue meet up in the middle, you just compare whoever the attacker is. Like say blue has 3 attack dice, they roll 3 attack dice. We got 3. Let's say yellow's got 2 defense dice. We'd roll those, and we got 2, and then that's the winner. So yellow would be destroyed, and because we're playing with assassination, blue would then get a crystal that would be worth a victory point at the end of the game. That is how that works as far as movement, and also the attacks as well. So everybody then takes their actions until they've used up all of the power that they have available. As soon as that happens, you will go then into the process of the end of the cycle, the lunar cycle. You're basically warring on the planet for 12 lunar cycles, and so you flip over the resistance cards, and so like you flip one over here, and stolen supplies. Make do until the resupply is ready. So all troops have -1 attack dice, and so you place that there. And like unfortunately now all the people, like all your troops and everything like that have -1 attack die, and it makes it just a little bit more difficult, if you will. Whoever was the last player, so if green was the first player and then went green, yellow, blue, or green, blue, yellow, yellow becomes the first player, and then then it goes yellow, green, blue, if you will, and you then check to see if like you've made it to one of these upgrade spaces on the resistance board. And if so, then you go ahead and go through that process. I'll show that in just a second. And then you just start up again. Get all your power back, and you start the next turn. I'm going to show you how to do the score the victory points in the game, but just quickly. So there's this spot here that says small upgrade or 2 combat credits. Basically, these are combat credits. And then small upgrade or then large upgrade, small upgrade, or 2 combat credits. And then this is the available power. The available power, when you get to that spot with all the cards, you just get an extra power. Everybody gets that to place on their board, and so then they have 4 actions basically instead of 3. If you have a small upgrade, each race has 2 of these like small like upgrades here, and then they have a front and a back. So like basically you have an extra action, so you get an extra destroy or an extra Xena Form. Or on this side it says look at the top resistance card and then place it on the top or on the bottom of the deck, or then build assets. You can have one of these small abilities, or what you can do is if you want to hold out and wait, because if you look at the spot, there's like a spot for 2 minor ones or 1 major one, like so. Then you have this. It's like your destroy actions can now remove troops, but does not place a hex. And then if you spend one of your credits that you've earned, by whatever reason, as above, but it does place a destroyed hex when you do that. You can't destroy an outpost with this, but you can destroy a troop on a location. And then troops may move twice their speed, but cannot attack if they do. Or 1 troop per CC spent may now attack after moving any speed. And so like you have that. And so if you want to hold out, then you can get the major upgrade as well. And those are the upgrades. The game continues until you've filled up this board, and then we reach the end of the game. And when you reach the end of the game, you're going to total up all the points that you possibly have. And so here it is. So to uplift, for every troop you have on Earth, you're going to get 3 victory points. You get 3 victory points for every outpost that's on Earth. You get 2 victory points if you destroyed a city. 4 victory points if you destroyed a monument. If you protect, 2 victory points for a troop on water or forest. 3 for a troop on a city. 5 for a troop on a monument. And then harvest. 1 victory point for each water, forest, hex in a chain containing an outpost. And that's that thing that I was talking about there. So you're going to total up all of those. And then you have the assassination. And so that if you have, there's obviously this is a prototype. Remember, it's still pretty high quality prototype. And then if you manage to get any of those, they're worth victory points as well. And for each one that you have. Whoever has the most victory points is considered then to be the destroyer or subjugator of Earth, and then gets to use the planet for its horrible intent, if you will. So there you go. That's how to play Directive Invasion. It's a lot of fun. It's it's kind of fun being the bad guy, as I said. But let me tell you more about that in my conclusion, which I'll do right now. Alright, thanks a lot for sitting through that. I hope you have a pretty good idea of how to play Directive Invasion, and I hope I was able to impress upon you just how much fun it actually is to play the game. It is fun to be the bad guy, if you will. It seems like the whole world is kind of, media or whatever. The anti-hero, the person with the questionable morals, but maybe does the right thing more often than not. But probably for personal gain as well, and it is fun. Maybe, and I find the anti-hero kind of fun and interesting and everything like that, and it's kind of neat, if you will, to like like Daredevil or whatever, beating people senseless, which is technically kind of a crime, but the reason for it is a good one, right? But I do really enjoy the idea here is that there is no like anti-hero here. You are the villain, if you will. You have stumbled across planet Earth, and you have decided that it is not that the humans have no right to hold on to their planet, and you're going to take it from them by force if necessary. And the only thing that's stopping you from wiping the planet clean of their mistake is the fact that the other players are there. And so it's kind of neat how macro it is as far as the aliens, and as far as like, and how insignificant the plight of the humans is in this one. Okay, all that being said, I mean, it's kind of an area control game. It's with some dice rolling and some strategic planning. I even, in a way, just because of maybe the action placement and the fact that like you're kind of having the hexes and you're like kind of staking out your territory and things like that. I even got kind of a weird like dominant species feel to the game as well, a game that I really enjoy. Now this is not nearly as complex as that one, so it's not really a good comparison. But like I said, it as far as like kind of that light area control type of game, this one is fantastic. I mean, there's something really wonderful about the idea of each of those different races having their own little powers and abilities, and you exploiting those to the best of your ability, and much to the consternation of the other people at the table. Combat is present in the game, but it's kind of almost like weirdly a last resort, if you will. The only time like I ever really was interested in fighting was when I knew that like somebody maybe had set up shop on a large string of like ocean tiles that was going to score them a lot of points, and there's no way I could let that happen. And so it isn't so much that I wanted to fight them, I just couldn't let them keep the victory points that that little spot any longer than if not. And the thing is that, but even then you don't really have to attack them. I mean, you can just set up your own outpost and get that and muck it up a little bit too. And so I do like the fact that while this game does have like kind of it's very thematic and it has Ameritrash leadings, it isn't necessarily a shoot first, ask questions later type of thing as well. You have to balance kind of cultivating your victory points and cultivating your spots and what have you, but but on the same side you have to like keep your one eye open to make sure nobody else is doing a better job of that as you, and have to take them out if they are. And if you're the one that's doing the really good job, you've got to make sure that you got your ducks in a row so somebody just can't show up and pull the rug out from under you as well. Ultimately, this game would be kind of would be fun. I mean, and I'd have a lot of fun with it. But it's the theme of this one that makes it great for me. I love the idea of being the person that is invading invading the countryside, and you know, taking it to the humans, if you will, and then being annoyed that somebody else has decided to enter my sandbox. The unmitigated gall of those other alien races to try to impede upon my grand design for the planet Earth. And there is something wonderful of, like, you know, chortling like Marvin the Martian as you play the game, which I've done on many occasions when playing this, and it never ceases to cause me to giggle and enjoy myself a great deal. So for all of those reasons and so many more, Directive Invasion is just a heck of a lot of fun. If you're looking for a lighter like area control game, Euro, it has some Euro aspects, I mean, like the whole action placement pawns and the area control aspect and the victory point aspect, but it has, you know, like it's dipping its toes into that thematic world as well. Then I'd strongly suggest you take a look at this one, especially if you like the idea of being a horrible, murderous human robot or alien race that is bent on enslaving the Earth, which, you know, that would be pretty cool, I guess. Alright, so there you go. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. If you have any questions about the game, I'll try to answer those to the best of my ability. Just ask away. And as always, until next time, I am the Undead Viking, and I'm telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. Alright, bye-bye.